My life was already in the toilet after a bad breakup when my roommate, as a joke, signed me up for one of those sketchy online ads. Wealthy family seek surrogate. Turns out it was real. But my roommate, who's not exactly a prize, failed the interview. So he took the $10,000 deposit and skipped town, leaving me to clean up his mess. That's how I ended up with Isabella Vance, the city's most infamous runaway bride, a tabloid train wreck. Meeting her was a shock. I was forced to sign a contract, becoming the full-time caregiver for the woman who now lay paralyzed in her bed. I'm a registered nurse at a top-tier hospital, so when the Vance family's estate manager showed up at my door, I was completely baffled. As he explained the situation, the full picture of my roommate Kevin's disaster came into focus. He'd racked up huge gambling debts with a loan shark and, using my name and credentials, applied for that bizarre online ad. To his astonishment, it was a legitimate offer. He'd gone to the interview and discovered the client was Isabella Vance, the notorious heiress whose name was splashed across every gossip site. Her reputation was toxic. Spoiled, arrogant, and reckless, she had publicly abandoned her high society wedding to Ethan Hayes, a merger of two corporate dynasties, to run off with her true love, some indie artist named Dylan. During their escape, they got into a car crash. The artist walked away with a few scratches. Isabella ended up in a coma. Then came the real bombshell. Dylan, it turned out, was just playing her for her money and status. He tried to blackmail both the Vance and Hayes families with intimate photos, demanding a massive payout. He got caught and ended up in prison, but not before a few of the photos leaked online. The scandal was catastrophic. The Hayes and Vance families, their names dragged through the mud, declared war on each other. The Vance empire crumbled under the pressure, its assets shrinking by the day. After 6 months, with Isabella showing no signs of waking up, her will to live apparently fading, the family got desperate. They consulted some New Age guru who suggested a radical plan. Find a man whose life energy was compatible with hers, marry them in a symbolic ceremony to shock her spirit back, and task him with her complete care. If possible, he would also provide an heir to secure the Vance legacy. And I, through a combination of bad luck and my roommate's treachery, was the perfect candidate. So, I found myself in a surreal solo photo shoot. My picture was photoshopped next to one of the comatose Isabella, creating a series of bizarre wedding photos. Just like that, I was married. I was somebody's husband. There were perks, of course. A contract with a massive payout if I could wake her, convince her to accept our arrangement, and successfully have a child with her. Plus, the contract could be terminated at any time. Money for caregiving. That was my job, after all. Simple enough. The estate manager drove me to a secluded mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. He opened the bedroom door. On a massive bed, in a room that looked like it belonged in a palace, lay an astonishingly beautiful woman. Cherry red lips, perfectly arched brows, delicate features. Her eyes were closed, her expression peaceful. She looked like Sleeping Beauty. It was impossible to believe this was the woman who had torched her own life, jilting a fiancé, chasing a scumbag, and ending up paralyzed in a car wreck. Isabella's father, a man who looked age beyond his years, placed a heavy hand on my shoulder. "We're old. We can't handle this anymore, and the company is under attack," he said, his voice thick with exhaustion. "You haven't been to the courthouse, but you are, for all intents and purposes, her husband now. Please, take care of my daughter. When she wakes up, you have our blessing to do. Whatever it takes." Ms. Vance's condition, I began shifting into professional mode, requires more than just routine care like cleaning, feeding, and waste management. The most critical part is physical therapy. Constant muscle massage is essential to prevent atrophy from long-term immobility. I gave him the full clinical rundown, making it clear this would be a long, arduous process. The day-to-day washing can be handled by a female nurse, but you'll be responsible for her psychological recovery and daily life once she's awake. "It all falls to you," her father said. "I'll do my best," I replied. I was used to caring for male patients. The intimacy of this arrangement felt strange. To be suddenly married, handed a beautiful, notoriously difficult wife who was, for all intents and purposes, a living statue. It was a lot to process. After her parents left, the vast, quiet mansion held just 3 people. Me, my wife, Isabella, and a middle-aged female caregiver named Maria. Tonight was supposed to be my wedding night. Since there was no one else around, and I needed to be close by to monitor her, I decided to sleep on the other side of her king-size bed. I felt a strange restlessness. I played Call of Duty on my phone for a few hours, but even after turning off the lights, sleep wouldn't come. My life for the next few years was right here, married to a beautiful woman who was practically a vegetable. Who knew if she'd ever wake up? Sigh. $4 or $5 million, I can put up with it, I thought. Tossing and turning, I accidentally rolled over and my arm landed squarely on her chest. So soft, and she's not wearing a bra. The thought jolted me, and I snatched my arm back as if I'd been burned. But then another thought crept in. She's asleep. What am I afraid of? Besides, she's technically my wife. It's not like it's wrong. Having an arm over her might make her feel secure. I reasoned, trying to convince myself I wasn't just being a creep. It'll help her sleep better. I slept soundly after that. A knock on the door woke me. I shot up, realizing that in my sleep, I had moved right next to her, my nose buried in the crook of her neck, my warm breath on her pale skin. My face flushed. God, I was pathetic. I opened the door to find Maria with a basin of warm water and supplies for Isabella's morning cleaning. I instinctively moved to leave. No need to be shy, son. She's your wife, Maria said with a knowing smile. I practically fled the room. The days melted into a slow, quiet routine. To fight the boredom, I started learning to cook for Maria, expanding my culinary skills beyond scrambled eggs and pasta. A whole new world opened. I set up a home gym in the yard, determined to get back the physique I'd had in college before my diet consisted of whatever was fast and cheap. I spent afternoons in the mansion's library, reading my way through shelves of books. I also kept an eye on news about the Vance family's business. For the first couple of months, her parents would call to check in, but the calls became less frequent, their voices strained with a desperation they couldn't hide. Then, 3 months in, Maria told me her paycheck was late. So it was my monthly stipend of $10,000. I told her to be patient, that it was probably just a delay, but I had a sinking feeling something was terribly wrong. One morning, I woke up in my usual spot, nestled against Isabella, treating her like my personal human pillow. I burrowed my face into her fragrant hair for a moment. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the silence. Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my bed? I'm going to kill you. I'm calling the police. The voice, sharp and furious, was coming from the woman beside me. I shot upright, my heart hammering against my ribs. You're awake. How could I possibly explain this? Hi, you've been in a coma for months. I've been taking care of you. And by the way, I'm your husband. I could see she was only able to move her head, the rest of her body still motionless. I'm your nurse. I finally managed. You've been sick. You're paralyzed. That's bullshit, she shrieked. I remember a car crash. That's it. How could I be paralyzed? Looking at that gorgeous face twisted in pure rage, I felt a knot of fear in my stomach. I wasn't equipped for this. I had to get out of there. As I escaped the bedroom, her furious curses followed me down the hall. This was going to be a nightmare. Maria, she's awake, I said, my voice shaky. Can you go talk to her? Explain things? Coming from man? It's not helping. Leave it to me, Maria said, puffing out her chest confidently. A minute later, the shouting from the bedroom was even louder. Maria emerged, looking like she'd been verbally assaulted. Maria had told her everything, that she'd been unconscious for over 3 months, that we had been caring for her, that her parents hadn't visited in a long time, and that her family was in serious trouble. But Isabella would only accept the fact that she'd been in a car crash and had just woken up, able to move only her neck. She was still the same spoiled, domineering heiress. Whether she believed it or not, this was my reality now. I had to face her. Taking a deep breath, I walked back into the room. I handed her her phone, pulling up a news article about the Vance family's corporate collapse. Holding it in front of her face, I watched as her eyes scanned the headlines. Isabella, see for yourself. As she read, the color drained from her face. The shock was profound, her mind reeling. She finally understood. Her betrayal, the humiliation of the Hayes family, had led to this. This utter ruin. Her voice was a trembling whisper. My parents. Where are they? I don't know. I answered honestly. Their phones aren't connecting. And Dylan? Last I heard, he's someone's kept man now, I said, repeating a rumor I'd read online. That's impossible, she snapped, her voice regaining its fire. He loved me. You have no idea what we had. You say one more bad thing about him, and I swear I will fire you and make your life a living hell. A hired hand, a dog, should know its place. I'll let it slide this time, since it's your first offense. The sudden shift back to her commanding, imperious tone was jarring. It was terrifying. Cold sweat trickled down my back. I couldn't win this fight. I retreated. Again. 3. At dinner, with Isabella now awake and able to eat normally, Maria prepared a few of her favorite dishes, according to her father's instructions. She brought the tray in. A few bites later, Isabella spat the food out. This beef isn't tender enough. The shrimp is rubbery. I want Maine lobster. With cooking skills like this, how dare you call yourself a caregiver? The withering scorn in her voice, punctuated by a glare that could kill, sent Maria fleeing the room in tears. Alex, is my cooking really that bad? Maria asked, looking at me with wounded eyes. Maria, your food is amazing. I tried to reassure her. She's just being impossible. Don't listen to that lunatic. Bring me my food. Are you trying to starve me? Do you want to be fired? Isabella's stomach rumbled audibly from the other room. A surge of anger went through me. I had never met such an unreasonable, difficult woman. Calm down, Alex, I told myself. Just do your job. But if she pushes it, I'm not taking it anymore. I brought the same tray of food back into her room. This is it. Eat it or don't. Turner, she sneered, using my last name like an insult. Are you really rebelling? Call my father. You're fired. Now. I almost laughed. I'm not calling him. You want him? You dial. While you're at it, make sure he wires me my last paycheck. You. I can't move. You dial number for me. Her face was crimson with a frustration she'd likely never felt before in her life. Huh. You can't even press the numbers on your own phone, and you want to tattle on me. That's rich. My words, meant to be flippant, hit a nerve. Her face crumpled, and tears of pure, frustrated rage streamed from her eyes. The weight of everything, the paralysis, the family disaster, her own powerlessness, crashed down on her at once. I tried to offer a few words of comfort, but it was useless. I had to send Maria back in. As a woman, she might have more luck. This time, chastened and hungry, Isabella ate without another complaint, silently beginning to accept her new reality. That night, after Maria had finished Isabella's evening care, she gave me a sympathetic look. You should probably hold off on the massages for a while, she advised. Her mood is too volatile. She doesn't understand what you're here for, and she definitely doesn't know you're her. Good luck, husband. I know, I sighed. If I go near her now, she'll probably bite my head off. That night, I decisively slept on the living room sofa. A week passed. Maria was busier than ever, but her salary still hadn't arrived. Her patience was wearing thin, and Isabella's tyrannical attitude wasn't helping. Finally, Maria snapped. Alex, that's it. I quit. I'm not putting up with this anymore. Someone else can serve Her Majesty. Pay me what I'm owed, and I'm out of here. I was caught completely off guard. Just a few days ago, Maria had been so kind and understanding. But I couldn't blame her. I was, on paper, Isabella's husband. Who else was she going to ask for money? I had no choice. I used the $10,000 deposit her father had given me to pay Maria's final salary. That evening, I carried the dinner tray into Isabella's room, feeling like I was walking to my own execution. Isabella looked at me, surprised. What are you doing here? Where's Maria? She quit, I said flatly, and I had to be the one to pay her off. She scoffed. Good. I couldn't stand her anyway. Clumsy. If I could have reached my parents, I would have fired her weeks ago. Seeing she was still the same entitled princess, I said nothing. Well, why are you still here? Isabella asked, genuinely confused. If I leave, who's going to take care of you? I replied with a bitter smile. And then I told her. I told her who I was. Not her servant, not just her nurse. Isabella was stunned. She couldn't believe it. The man she'd been ordering around, calling Turner like he was the help, was her husband, the one hired to perform a superstitious ritual to save her. The man who had shared her bed for 3 months while she was unconscious. The man who had been massaging her body every single night. She didn't blush. She looked like she wanted to die. Her body, which she had guarded so fiercely, not even her fiancé Ethan had touched her like that. Only Dylan had been handled by a complete stranger. Her face was ashen, as if I had committed the ultimate, unforgivable crime. Seeing the raw pain in her eyes, my anger softened. I knew how violated and vulnerable she must feel. I only massaged your arms and legs. I never touched you inappropriately, I said, trying to soothe her. Without the massages, your muscles would have atrophied completely. Your body would have wasted away. Whether as a nurse or as your husband, all I want is for you to get better. I told her, my voice firm. You're young. You have so much life ahead of you. Don't give up. You can recover from this. I don't care, she shot back. I'd rather die than have you touch me. You're a manipulative creep. Don't act so noble. You're just after my family's money. Admit it, she screamed, her words laced with absolute certainty. You're just a gold digger. Her accusation stung. I couldn't deny there was a financial motive, but I genuinely wanted to help her. It was part of my professional duty as a nurse, and I didn't want to see her parents suffer any more than they already had. The marriage was just a legal cover to allow for the necessary physical contact. Think whatever you want, I said. My patience gone. Call me a gold digger. Call me a pervert. I made a promise to your parents, and we have a contract. I'm going to take care of you. When you're better, we can get divorced immediately. But for now, you are my patient. My tone was final. Isabella started cursing again, a stream of insults. I lost it. I scooped up a spoonful of food and shoved it in her mouth to shut her up. She spat it out, soiling the pristine white sheets. You son of a bitch. You shameless, greedy, disgusting pig. Get out. The sight of you makes me sick. That was it. I was done being patient. I didn't care who she was, or that she was a helpless woman. She called me greedy. She called me a pervert. Fine. I'll show you a pervert. I lifted the blanket on the other side of the bed. With a mask of nonchalance, though my heart was pounding a hole in my chest, I slid into bed next to her. She whipped her head around, her beautiful face a canvas of shock, fury, and a blush that crept down her neck. But underneath it all, I saw a flicker of fear. What are you looking at? I said, my voice dripping with false bravado. It's not like it's the first time. We've been sleeping together for 3 months. Practically an old married couple. Seeing her speechless, sputtering with rage, gave me a dark thrill. That's what you get for running your mouth. 4. I casually draped my arm over her, resting on the pillow above her head. She opened her mouth, a flash of white teeth, her eyes blazing with murderous intent. It was clear she wanted to bite me. I was not letting that happen. Save your energy, I taunted. You can't reach. And if you open that pretty mouth again, I just might kiss you. Staring at her, furious and beautiful, I had a crazy thought. She was actually kind of cute like this. Huh, you think you have the guts? Go ahead. I dare you, she challenged, her expression shifting to one of pure contempt. Is that right? Well, maybe I will. I mirrored her smirk, playing the part of the lecher she accused me of being. But instead of kissing her, I grabbed a small towel and gently covered her eyes. She couldn't see me now. Her glare was a little too intimidating. I cupped her face with one hand, my fingers pressing gently into her cheeks. Her full, defiant lips puckered into an involuntary pout. It was an invitation I couldn't resist. To hell with it. I leaned in and pressed my mouth to hers. The sensation was electric. My heart hammered, my head spun. Kissing this infuriating, beautiful, tabloid queen heiress was a bigger rush than I could have imagined. It felt like a conquest. I was completely lost in the moment. The woman beneath me began to tremble. I could feel the surprising softness of her body against mine. I didn't dare look at her face, afraid of what I'd see, afraid of the awkwardness that would follow. I finally pulled back, relaxing my guard for a split second. It was a mistake. She lunged, sinking her teeth into my lower lip. The pain was sharp and tense. Let go, that hurts, I yelled, tasting the metallic tang of blood. You're making me bleed, stop. I cried out again. She finally released me. I ripped the towel off her face. Her cheeks were flushed a deep crimson all the way down to her neck, a stunning sight. But her eyes were defiant, her expression screaming, you had it coming. Alex, I will never forgive you for this, she seethed, her voice shaking with rage. You just wait until I can move. I will kill you. All I could do was fall back on sarcasm to diffuse the tension and my own guilt. After all, I had started it. My first kiss, and you draw blood, I said dramatically. So cruel. You really are a heartbreaker. You have the audacity to say that was your first kiss? She sputtered, momentarily thrown off. I have never met anyone as shameless as you. She continued to curse me out, a litany of insults. The bed was no longer a viable place to be. I got up and left the room. The silence lasted about 15 minutes before I heard her call out again. Turner, you jerk, get in here. What now? I asked, my voice cold. You need to find me a female caregiver, she said. Her face was suddenly bright red, her earlier bravado gone, replaced by a mortified reluctance. I'm not an agency. Where am I supposed to find someone at this hour? I have to use the restroom. She mumbled, the words barely audible, as if it took all her strength to say them. I froze. Of course. She could be as beautiful as an angel, but she was still human. She had needs. Putting on my most clinical, professional face, I sighed. It was just me here. I had to be the one. I'll help you, I said. It's too late to find anyone else. Don't you dare look, she whispered, resigned to her fate. How am I supposed to aim if I don't look? I retorted, then immediately regretted it. It's not like it's the first time. Fine, she sighed, defeated. Just put the towel over my face. Please. Seeing her expression of utter resignation, I knew how much this was costing her. The powerful, proud Isabella Vance, now completely at my mercy. I grabbed the bedpan and lifted the covers. She was wearing only a thin, silk nightgown, her slender figure outlined beneath it. I left the room to give her privacy, waiting for her to call me back. While I waited, I started searching online for home care agencies. This was too awkward. We needed a professional. When I returned to clean up, her face was still flushed with embarrassment. I saw my chance. I brought up the topic of her physical therapy, explaining that we needed to start the massages again to prevent muscle atrophy. Just follow your procedures, she said quietly. But I expect you to respect me. I may have made mistakes, but that doesn't make me a bad person. Don't worry, my $999 premium package is so good, you'll be asking for it again. I joked, trying to lighten the mood. Can I request a female technician? She whispered, so softly I almost didn't hear it. Nope, we keep the good stuff in-house. You were fine when my eyes were closed, she grumbled. Now that they're open, you're staring, and it's making me nervous. Before she could protest further, I gently placed the towel back over her eyes. I began the massage, my hands moving with professional precision, kneading, pressing, tapping, even lightly dragging my nails across her skin to stimulate the nerves. Any sensation in your legs or arms? I asked. Just a little, she replied. It's a bit worse than I thought. I'm going to have to apply more pressure. It might be uncomfortable. Tell me what you feel. In my clinical focus, I was oblivious to the fact that under the towel, Isabella's face was turning a shade of red that could rival a tomato. 40 minutes later, I was exhausted. I had worked over every part of her body, from her shoulders down to the soles of her feet, pressing on acupressure points. When you were massaging the bottom of my foot just now, she said, her voice hesitant, I think I felt a real touch. Really, that's great. I exclaimed, genuinely happy. Okay, get some rest. I'll be on the couch. Alex, she said as I turned to leave. You can sleep in here tonight, in case I need you. You sure? I asked, but I toss and turn. If I accidentally get too close, don't get mad. Sleep on the floor? Or the armchair, she clarified. Right, I thought, deflated. Should have known better than to think she meant the bed. I had a great night's sleep. So great that when I woke up in the morning, I was wrapped around a warm, soft, fragrant body. I instinctively pulled it closer. Then came the familiar shriek. Alex, you pig, you're taking advantage of me again. I jerked awake to find myself, once again, wrapped around Isabella, my face buried in her hair. I'm sorry. I don't know how I ended up on the bed again. I stammered, scrambling away. The embarrassment was excruciating. You did it on purpose. You're just trying to grope me, she accused, her face beet red. I didn't, was all I could manage before I bolted from the room. After a quick trip to the grocery store, I came back and made breakfast. While I brought it to her, I slid my hands under her arms and gently propped her up against the pillows. Our eyes met for a split second, and the awkwardness was palpable. Then I realized I hadn't even washed her face or brushed her teeth. Sorry, I forgot your morning routine. I put toothpaste on her brush and gently cleaned her teeth. Then I took a warm washcloth and wiped her face, combing her hair. It felt like I was a doting wife taking care of a disabled husband, only our roles were reversed. She watched me, her face flushed, her eyes darting away whenever they met mine. I did the same. She was so beautiful. Her temper was awful, but in moments like this, quiet and vulnerable, she was like a kitten completely at my mercy. Our eyes locked again. We both looked away at the same time. A few days later, a new dynamic settled between us. She stopped speaking to me with cold hostility. I continued her daily massages, and eventually she allowed me to help her with bathing. "Thank you, Alex," she said one day, her voice soft. "If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have happened to me." "Don't mention it," I said. "Maybe it's fate." Under my dedicated care, she started to regain movement in her hands. Finally, I joked, I don't have to spoon-feed a picky eater anymore. "Oh, so now the truth comes out," she said, pretending to be angry. "You're tired of me." "You bet I am. I've been your father and your mother," I retorted. "Why don't you try taking care of me for a change?" "You wish. I'm the one who gets taken care of, not the other way around," she shot back, a rare, girlish blush coloring her cheeks. One afternoon, I came in with her lunch and found her looking utterly dejected. I asked what was wrong, but she wouldn't say, just silently crying. That night, as we lay in bed, she turned to me. "Alex, you can sleep on the bed tonight, not the couch." I was taken aback. "You said it, not me. Don't go calling me a pig in the morning." We lay in silence, a comfortable quiet between us. I knew something was wrong, so I didn't push. Suddenly, she turned on her side and wrapped her arms tightly around my neck, burying her face in my chest. "What's wrong, Isabella?" I asked, startled by her sudden closeness. "Can you just hold me?" she whispered, her voice choked with tears. I didn't say anything, just wrapped my arms around her. Holding her like this, warm and soft in my arms, my mind went blank. "I called my parents today," she finally sobbed. It's really bad." It turned out her parents' company had been completely taken over by Ethan Hayes, the man she jilted. He'd set a trap, tricked them into signing over their remaining shares, and now they were under criminal investigation for fraud. They were in jail. All her old friends had abandoned her. Her bank accounts were frozen. All she had left was a 30% stake in a company that was no longer hers, and not a single dollar in cash. Her body was broken, and she felt like her life was over. "You still have me," I whispered, holding her tighter. "I'll be here with you. You're going to get better." "I don't believe you," she cried. "You'll get tired of me. I'm just a burden now. You'll leave me, unless you swear you'll never abandon me." Isabella looked up at me, her face a mask of heartbreaking sorrow. But over my shoulder, where I couldn't see, her expression hardened. The vulnerable girl disappeared, replaced by the calculating, commanding look of a CEO giving an order. Okay, I swear," I said, completely taken in. "I swear I won't leave you. Happy." The moment the words left my mouth, her tears stopped as if on command. She leaned in and gently, surprisingly, kissed me on the lips. I froze. She blushed and started to pull away. But it was too late. I was already lost. Every time I got close to her, all I could think was about that first violent kiss. It was a thought that had haunted my dreams. I wanted to do it again. I pulled her back, my eyes locked on hers, my desire probably written all over my face. "What are you doing?" she whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of shyness and panic. "Only I get to kiss you. You don't get to touch me." She had clearly miscalculated, underestimating a man's patience. "Why not? Equality, right?" I countered, my voice low. "I made a vow to take care of you. I want to kiss you back." "Don't," she stammered. "My breath. It's not fresh. Let me be the judge of that." I murmured, amazed at my own audacity. This time, the kiss was long and deep. It went on for a full 5 minutes, and only ended when she started pinching and hitting me, desperate for air. Before she could launch into an angry tirade, I beat her to it. "So, beautiful women are liars," I teased, stroking her cheek. "You said your breath wasn't fresh, but it tastes like honey to me." "You are so shameless. You're disgusting," she retorted, but the fire was gone. replaced by a flustered blush. She had been outplayed. This man was far more relentless than she'd anticipated, kissing her until she was breathless, until he'd stolen the very air from her lungs. After lunch, I scooped her up into my arms. "What are you doing? It's the middle of the day. Have you no shame?" she protested. "I'm just taking you outside to get some sun." I chuckled. "What did you think I was going to do? You didn't think I was going to kiss you again, did you?" I added, fanning the flames of her embarrassment. "Alex, you seem so innocent, but you have such a dirty mind," she huffed, turning her face away to hide her smile. "Look who's talking," I shot back. "You act like such a player, but you don't even know how to kiss properly." I loved teasing her, loved watching that blush creep up her neck. Bullying a beautiful, powerful woman was surprisingly satisfying. "Say that again, and I'll bite you again," she threatened, though there was no heat in it. The truth was, she hadn't been with many people. For all her talk and rebellious spirit, she was fundamentally conservative. Her relationship with Dylan had never gone further than kissing and holding hands. But now with me, her husband, things were different. I had washed her body so many times she'd grown numb to it, resigned. Even though she still had little feeling below her waist, she knew she had been touched intimately by a man. I carried her outside and set her down gently in a lounge chair I had padded with soft cushions. The morning sun warmed her face, and a gentle breeze rustled her hair. It was the first time she had felt the sun on her skin in over 4 months. A look of pure, unadulterated joy spread across her face. "Thank you, Alex," she said softly. "I've told you 1,000 times, don't call me that in that tone," I protested. "Alex sounds like you're scolding a dog. I'm a man, you know, a very capable one." "Then what should I call you?" "How about idiot?" "Nope. How about you try honey on for size?" I teased, dying to hear her say it. "In your dreams, frog," she retorted. "You haven't even called me babe once." The words slipped out before she could stop them, a hint of jealousy in her tone. She immediately looked away, flustered. "Babe, don't call me that." "Who's your babe? Babe, babe, babe. You are the most shameless man alive. Stop it." Isabella flushed a brilliant red, glaring at me with those huge, beautiful eyes, a threat that had lost all its menace. A sharp knock on the front door shattered the peaceful afternoon. 2 men in suits stood on the doorstep, their faces grim and official. "I'm sorry," one of them said, without preamble. "This property is registered under Mr. Vance's name and has been seized as part of the ongoing investigation. You have 3 days to vacate the premises." The light in Isabella's eyes visibly dimmed. "Hey, don't worry about it, babe," I said, squeezing her hand. "I'll take you with me. As long as you get better, none of this other stuff matters." "I'm fine," she said, her voice regaining its steel, "and I will get all of this back." 3 days later, I called a moving van. We packed only the essentials, clothes, toiletries, personal items, and left the luxurious mansion behind. I took her back to my small, 1-bedroom apartment in Queens. It was clean, but a world away from what she was used to. "Isabella, I know it's a bit small, but it's cozy," I said awkwardly. "You couldn't have rented a bigger place?" she complained, looking around with distaste. "There's no privacy here. I'm broke, remember? Taking care of you isn't cheap, and I haven't had an income in months," I argued. "You had plenty of energy to call me babe back at the mansion," she muttered. "But when I asked for a decent apartment, suddenly you're a cheapskate. You're not exactly an easy woman to keep." Her eyes flickered away, unable to meet mine. "Well, you never call me honey," I shot back. "So you don't get a big apartment. You're so petty. You're so stingy, you won't even give me a kiss." Isabella fell silent. I went back to my nursing job at the hospital. My days became a grueling routine. Wake up early to get Isabella ready for the day, rush home on my lunch break to make her food, and spend the evenings doing physical therapy and massage. It was exhausting, but I never thought of giving up. We fell into a rhythm that felt like a real marriage, except for the one line we hadn't crossed. But I could always feel a wall between us, a distance she maintained. I didn't push it. I knew the chasm between our worlds was too wide. Even in her fallen state, she was still Isabella Vance. She would never end up with a simple nurse like me. Eventually, she would fly away. One evening about a month later, I got off work early and bought a bouquet of lilies on my way home. As I reached my apartment building, I stopped dead. There, standing on the sidewalk, was a stunningly beautiful woman in a flowing white dress, her long hair blowing in the breeze. It was my supposedly paralyzed wife. Beside her stood a handsome man in a perfectly tailored designer suit, leaning against a gleaming Maybach. They were talking quietly. Then I saw Isabella start to cry, and a man stepped forward and wrapped her in a hug. They looked so perfect together. My heart shattered. I turned and walked away before they could see me, the lilies crushed in my hand. I didn't go home until after 8. "Where have you been?" Isabella demanded the moment I walked in, her voice sharp, with no trace of guilt on her face. "Don't you know you have a patient at home? Were you trying to starve me?" A sharp, searing pain shot through my chest, stealing my breath. I wanted to scream, to demand why she was lying to me, why she was putting on this elaborate act. She was playing me, and she was a damn good actress. Meeting at the hospital ran late. I lied, my own voice sounding hollow. It was the first time I had ever lied to her. The first time I had lied to myself. "Next time you text me. I sent you a message, and you didn't even reply. It's so infuriating," she fumed. Then, perhaps noticing the look on my face, her tone softened. "What's wrong? You look upset. Did you get chewed out at work?" "No. I'll go make dinner," I said, avoiding her eyes. The more she pretended nothing had happened, the more it hurt. How could she let another man hold her? She was my wife. The words were a silent, helpless scream in my mind. Over the next 2 days, I noticed she was on her phone constantly, her expression shifting from happy to somber. Each shift in her mood tugged at my heart, but I knew I wasn't the cause of her joy or her sorrow. I kept up the charade, caring for her just as I always had. I saw the man again. This time, he brought her a bouquet of red roses. They got into the Maybach together. My heart, already broken, felt like it was being ground into dust. I would never truly have her. I was just a hired help, a glorified butler. I couldn't do this anymore. This twisted, painful relationship had to end. I needed my own life back, a normal life. That night, I cooked a feast. I even lit a candle and placed the roses she'd brought home in a vase on the table. It was almost romantic. She looked at me, confused, as if to ask what the hell I was doing. "Isabella," I began, my eyes fixed on my plate. "The hospital is sending me on a training program to the West Coast for 6 months. I accepted." "What?" Her eyes widened in disbelief. "What about me? If you go, who will take care of me?" She sounded genuinely angry, as if I had betrayed her by not consulting her first. I didn't know what to say. "You're the one who lied to me," I thought. "You've been walking for who knows how long, meeting other men. You swore," she said, her voice trembling with accusation. "You swore you would take care of me. Does that promise mean nothing now? Do you want me to take care of you for the rest of your life?" I asked, the words bolder than I felt. For once, Isabella was speechless. We ate in silence. That night, for the first time, we didn't touch. A few more days passed. The night before I was scheduled to leave, I packed a small bag. I explained everything, that she could stay in the apartment, that I had hired a new female caregiver to help her. "Babe," I said, the word feeling foreign and bitter on my tongue. "If you want a divorce, I'll sign the papers. We both know this whole thing started without any real feelings." "Alex, I don't want a divorce," she whispered. "I have my reasons. I hope you can forgive me." "Yeah, I know," I replied flatly. "That's why we're not right for each other." "Let me ask you something," she said, her eyes searching mine. "Did you ever love me?" I thought about the past months, the arguments, the laughter, the quiet moments of intimacy, the way I had poured everything I had into caring for her, unconsciously treating her as my real wife. I had fallen for her, for the vulnerable woman beneath the thorny exterior. But now she was better, she was free. She didn't belong to a small-time nurse like me. She was a rose with thorns, and I had been pricked one too many times. But looking at her now, her eyes wide and glistening with unshed tears, I couldn't lie to my own heart. I did. I answered, my voice raw with sincerity. "Thank you, honey," Isabella whispered, so quietly I almost missed it. "What?" "I hope you'll wait for me. Wait for me to come back," she said. My mind raced. What did she mean? Before I could process it, she moved. In a fluid motion, she rose from the bed, swung her legs over me, and straddled my waist. She leaned down and captured my lips in a deep, searing kiss. I could only stare, wide-eyed, as she pulled at the hem of her silk nightgown, revealing a landscape I had only ever imagined in my wildest dreams. The night was a blur of frantic, clumsy passion. She was the aggressor, but her inexperience was obvious. Was this her way of compensating me? Or did she actually love me? I didn't know, but I knew one thing. This kind of love was too much for me. I couldn't accept a woman who was seeing other men, a woman whose heart still held a place for her true love, Dylan. The next morning, I instinctively reached for the warm body that was usually beside me. The space was empty, but a small, crimson stain on the white sheets caught my eye, a stark confirmation of the night before. "Isabella, where are you?" I texted her. A red exclamation point immediately appeared next to my message. Blocked. I tried calling. The number was disconnected. I looked around the apartment. Many of her clothes were gone, and the small, hand-woven bracelet I'd bought for her from a street vendor for $5, the one she'd called ugly but secretly cherished, was gone too. Isabella Vance had vanished from my life as quickly as she had entered it, like a puff of smoke. I never went on that work trip. I just kept coming home to our small, empty apartment, the silence a constant, painful reminder of what I had lost. It took a full month to climb out of the hole she had left in my life. A year passed. I quit my nursing job, tired of caring for others. I got a soul-crushing job in real estate, grinding away for 9 to 5. My parents started pressuring me to date, to get married. It was a hopeless conversation. Tucked away in a box under my bed was a marriage certificate with my name and Isabella Vance's on it. That woman, I thought, cursing her for the 1,000th time. Not a word, not a sign. Am I separated? A widower? I started seeing someone new. Her name was Chloe. She was pretty, and while she wasn't particularly interested in me, she was very nice whenever I spent money on her. Compared to the demanding, scowling, imperious Isabella, it was easier. Alex, snap out of it. My coworker Mark nudged me. Headquarters is sending the new regional president down for an inspection today. I hear she's a knockout. A married knockout. So try to look alive. You watch too much porn, Mark. I joked. What's with the obsession with married women? A commotion near the entrance drew our attention. The office suddenly buzzed with energy as the top brass from our branch scrambled to form a welcoming party. I stood up, plastering on a fake professional smile. And then I saw her. Striding through the crowd was a woman of breathtaking beauty and power. A figure that was all dangerous curves, a face of exquisite perfection, her hair swept up in an elegant style. It was my wife, Isabella Vance, who had disappeared a year ago. She looked just as beautiful, but I could see the faint dark circles under her eyes, the subtle lines of exhaustion that hadn't been there before. She scanned the room, her gaze sharp and commanding, a queen reviewing her subjects. My heart leaped into my throat. I instinctively looked down, tried to become invisible, but it was too late. Her eyes found me, and the corner of her mouth tilted up in a slow, deliberate smile. It was a look of pure, unadulterated triumph, with a hint of playful challenge. My day was ruined. I sat at my desk, a nervous wreck. A long time later, my phone buzzed. A friend request from a familiar profile picture. Well, Alex Turner, you actually deleted me. The message was a mix of joy and bitterness. You're the one who blocked me. I wanted to scream. I sent you dozens of messages, and you never replied. Now she was back, rich and powerful, and reaching out. Was this some kind of joke? Ms. Vance, how can I help you? I typed back, not accepting the request. Accept it, or you're fired. You're insane, I muttered, but I hit accept anyway. My office. Now. No. Ms. Vance, you're a married woman. We should maintain a professional distance. You just wait, Turner. I'll make you regret that. I wanted nothing to do with her. She was a hurricane, and I had a new girlfriend and a relatively stable, boring life. I needed to stay as far away from her as possible. After work, I went home and cooked an elaborate meal. My girlfriend, Chloe, was coming over. Suddenly, my apartment door swung open. I froze. I hadn't given Chloe a key. In walked the familiar figure, now wearing dangerously high heels and black silk stockings that clung to her long, toned legs. The same legs I had massaged countless times. I swallowed hard. Isabella sauntered in, a wicked smile playing on her lips. Her first words hit me like a ton of bricks. I bet you've never massaged legs in Balenciaga stockings before, have you? So what? It's not like I haven't seen nice legs before. I shot back, trying to sound nonchalant. My girlfriend Chloe has great legs. Really? Isabella purred, her smile widening. You've been dating for 3 months, and you haven't even gotten her to a hotel room. You were much faster with me. Seems you don't like her all that much, do you? It turned out that after she left, she had gone straight to her childhood friend, Carter, the man with the Maybach. After hearing her story, he'd agreed to help her. Using a combination of her own sob story and her 30% stake in the company, they had launched a ruthless campaign to take back her family's empire from Ethan Hayes. It had taken over a year, but they had won. Ethan was now the one facing prison time. She explained that she'd left because she couldn't bear to face me if she failed. She didn't want a normal life. She wanted revenge, and she wanted her thrown back. There was also another complication. She had discovered she was pregnant. Carter, a true friend, had stood by her, agreeing to maintain the facade of a relationship while she fought her battles and carried her child. She had succeeded. You had me investigated? That's despicable. I snapped, angry that she had exposed the shallow truth of my new relationship. I was helping you, she said smugly. You're nothing but Chloe's little puppy dog. As much as I hated to admit it, she was right. My relationship with Chloe was pathetically one-sided. With Isabella, as crazy as it was, I had at least been able to stand up for myself. So, she said, leaning against my kitchen counter, a look of triumph in her eyes. Want to give us another try? Sure, I retorted. As soon as you pay me the $5 million you owe me for my services. In your dreams. If I give you the money, you'll just run off again, and I'll never find you. I'm back now, rich and successful. All for you, she said, her voice softening. Doesn't that count for something? Or are you scared? Her words were maddening. This was not how a married woman should talk. I wasn't about to become the other man in her marriage. Ms. Vance, please have some self-respect, I said sternly. You're married. I don't do affairs. With that, I angrily ushered her out of my apartment. The next day, on my way to work on my scooter, I got into a minor accident. I felt fine, but I took the day off just in case. That evening, Isabella showed up at my door again, this time with a bag full of expensive health supplements. Honey, what happened? Are you okay? She asked, her eyes filled with genuine concern. For a moment, I was completely disoriented. I had no idea what her game was. As you can see, meeting you is bad luck, I grumbled, deciding to play along. I got hit by a car. I'm paralyzed. I laid it on thick, hoping to scare her away. It's okay, she said soothingly. I'll take care of you. To my astonishment, she walked into my kitchen and started cooking dinner. I stayed on the couch, feigning severe injury, morbidly curious to see how far she would take this. She brought a plate of food to me, scooped up a spoonful, and held it to my lips. Open up, she commanded, glaring at me when I hesitated. What are you looking at? You're a grown man. Do I really have to feed you? The words were so familiar. They were my words, thrown right back at me. After she fed me, she started cleaning my apartment. I watched, dumbfounded, as the powerful CEO of a major corporation bent over to pick up my dirty laundry, expertly sorting my boxers and socks. It was the most surreal, embarrassing, and strangely amusing thing I had ever seen. I decided to keep up the act, just to see what would happen next. A little while later, she opened the front door and wheeled in a stroller. Inside, a little boy was starting to fuss. She expertly lifted her shirt, turned to the side, and began to breastfeed him. My jaw dropped. My brain was a maelstrom of questions. I just stared, speechless. She caught my eye and blushed, shooting me a playful glare. The baby, finished eating, was soon fast asleep. But a moment later, he let out a gurgle and spit up. Alex, are you going to keep pretending? She snapped. Your son just spit up. A little help here? I jumped up, my fake paralysis forgotten, and scrambled to help her clean up the mess. After the baby was settled, Isabella went to take a shower. She emerged wrapped in one of my white button-down shirts, her hair damp, her long, bare legs gleaming. I stared at her, my heart thudding in my chest. She was all I could see. She gave me a sly, knowing smile. What's this? Suddenly have a thing for married women. You know damn well I'm a man, I retorted, my voice thick. Good, she whispered, her cheeks flushing. Just remember to be careful this time. I'm not getting pregnant again. A month later, Isabella suggested we move back to the mansion in Greenwich where it all began. I said no. I didn't want to live in the past. I wanted her to forget all the bad memories associated with that place. 6 months after that, we threw a massive wedding. The city's elite were stunned. The news that the infamous Isabella Vance was remarrying caused a huge sensation. Isabella, ever the provocateur, calmly posted a photo of our original marriage certificate online, proving to the world that this was her first and only marriage. At the reception, I saw an unexpected guest. It was my old roommate, Kevin, held firmly between two large bodyguards at the edge of the stage. His legs were bent at an unnatural angle, and his face was a mask of bitter resentment. The whole ordeal taught me a valuable lesson. I demanded 10% of the Vance Company stock. She hesitated, a look of reluctance on her face. I gave her a sharp slap on the behind. "If you love me, you'll give me what I want," I said, my voice firm. "No more games, no more pretending. And if you're not good to me, I'll find someone who is, and leave you to rattle around in your big mansion all alone." "Okay, honey, you're right," Isabella said, her face a picture of mock contrition. "Next time I'll agree right away." I had finally figured it out. Isabella's love brain was still there. The more assertive I was, the more she melted. Our little family of 3 was perfect. I was in charge of being beautiful, and Isabella was in charge of making money to support us.